I just moved here from Washington, D.C. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but it's a very informed city, right? And I found that out the hard way because back when I used to live there, you guys, this homeless lady one time walked up to me, stared at me for 3 seconds and went, "You know who you look like?" And I was like, Mila Kunis, you know. And she goes, "Klaus, Michael Dukakis." Yeah. Yeah, 1988 Democratic presidential nominee Michael Dukakis. Have you heard of him? Okay, good, because I freaking hadn't. Nope, I had to Google image that privately on the side later on. And I was like, oh no. Like, I see it. Damn, woman, that was a deep cut and it cut deep. You know, it's crazy that she just pulled that out of nowhere. But I'm not good at like confrontations like that either. I think because I grew up an only child. Anyone else in here? Yeah, the very quiet hand raise kind of gives it away, right? That's the thing. Like, you can blame your social anxiety on being an only child, right? But you can't blame your romantic shortcomings on it at all, right? Like, I can never be like, hey, I'm really bad at flirting. I guess just because I never had siblings, you know? Like, who would I even bounce that off of, right? I'm not like one of these Mormon girls with like 7 brothers. You know what I mean? She gets all that practice with the riffing and the conversation, knows how to lock it down, get married young right away because she's had the rehearsal process. You know what I mean? I don't have that, you know? And yeah, I am bad at flirting because now I live in New York and I go on dates with these really cool guys, right? And yeah, these guys are really cool. I don't know if you like, they text in all lowercase and everything. Like, you're like, whoa, I didn't know I was dealing with a man tonight. That's crazy, you know? I was on a date with this guy. He was a musician. And he was like, yeah, my band's getting like a lot of traction with the Japanese right now. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Did you just tell me that you're big in Japan? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, that's crazy because I'm fat in Europe. And he didn't like that for some reason. He didn't know what to say back to that. These guys aren't really funny either, believe it or not. So when they tell a story, it's like beginning, middle, you know, like it kind of just goes on. So lately what I've been doing is I pretend like I'm asking like thoughtful follow-up questions. But really I'm just trying to skip ahead in the story, you know? Like that same guy was like, you won't believe what happened on tour last weekend. I was like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. So how was the drive back? You know, I'm always trying to get to that next part. It's a good tool. You can use it. I don't know. I want to have like a romantic life because I have an ethnic mom. She's from Turkey. And yeah, she's from a generation where she doesn't say she had boyfriends before she met my dad. She said she had suitors. Which, I don't know if you guys know what suitors are. It's the same thing as a boyfriend. It's just to protect your honor a little bit, you know? Like, oh, I have a roster of suitors that I keep in the stable on rotation. Or I let one of my suitors do butt stuff with me last Thursday, right? Like, it's for your reputation. So she's always comparing her young lifestyle to mine. Like the other day, she's like, Denise, why aren't you having fun out there? When I was your age, one suitor wrote a song for me. Another one crashed his car while he was checking me out, you know? And I used to be like, oh my God, like my mom must have been such a baddie, right? Until the other day, she shows me some old photos of these suitors. Guys, you would not soft launch these people on close friends, okay? Like, it is crazy what old people get away with just because they didn't have Instagram to prove reality, you know? My mom is confidently showing me mouth breather after mouth breather, acting like this is even a story worth mentioning, you know? I'm like, dude, I would not even count these guys, you know? But that's what I realized, that's what old people do to make their lives sound cool. They just sugarcoat it. They just lie. I didn't know you could do that, you know? But now that's what I'm gonna do. Next time I get on the subway and a guy takes his wiener out, I'm just gonna go up to my friends after and be like, a stranger on the train fell in love with me this morning. Yeah, he really couldn't look away. I don't know. I'm not seeing anyone right now, though. It's hard dating because I have some very charismatic exes, and when you get to my age, you realize that charisma in a man, that's a red flag, right? Yeah, it is. Because like, why even develop the muscle of being charming unless you plan on becoming a dick later? You know what I mean? Like, But you don't understand that until you get older, like especially for a man. Like what man wakes up in the morning like, you know what, today I'm going to make everyone feel like they're in a movie. Just out of the kindness of my heart. No, that's preemptive reparations. That's what that shit is. I can only think of one guy in all of history who was hot and cool and charming and had no record of doing anything bad. And that guy was O.J. Simpson, right? Like, and thank God, by the way, he's who I look to when I'm like, they're not all the same, when I want to have some hope in my life. I look to O.J. I don't know. I don't like guys that are too nice. That's my problem. I like that asshole quality, I think like no one likes to date like too nice of a person, right? Dating someone nice, here's what it feels like. It feels like putting your hand on a railing, right? And then finding out it's sticky. Right? You're just like, oh, that's gross and not worth the support it's giving me, right? Like, ugh. But that's normal. You should feel that way. No one likes the people who love them a lot for no good reason, right? No one. People are annoyed by their families. Like, celebs hate their fans. Like, I can imagine God really respects, like, super religious people, right? Like, I think they get to heaven and he's like, ew, you believed that? Like, it's probably weird for them, Some poor schmuck's like, yeah, I'm even wearing the hat you told me to wear. And God's like, dude, that was 2,000 years ago. I don't even remember saying that shit, but no, come on in. We have a spot for you. It's just you look goofy as fuck. I can't believe you went outside like that, Like, that's what I'm afraid of. Like, what if religion is real, but it's like a shit test from the Lord to see how much of it will do? That's why I think it's best to stay moderate. Like, I think it's good to be religious, but I hope if you're really overdoing it, that at the end you're like a little embarrassed, right? Like, I hope the first thing you hear from God is like, oh, bless your heart. And it's like not in the tone you thought it was going to be. That's my prediction for the afterlife. I don't know. I live here in Brooklyn now, and in a very progressive little part of Brooklyn too. So that's why when I first came here, the first thing I did was I went to a bodega and I got myself a lighter with an American flag and a bald eagle on it. Yeah, and all my Brooklyn communist, socialist, hippie friends were like, why would you purchase that one? And I should be like, because you'll never steal it from me, okay? And they didn't. I've had it for a year. It worked. And I think it's great to be a leftist, but like not everything in this life has to be shared, right? Because one of my most communist friends the other day asked if I wanted to join in on a threesome with him and his girlfriend. And I said no right away. Not because I'm anti-threesome, but I think I don't want to be in like a communist threesome, like I feel like a communist threesome, that's like in theory, it works great. But then in practice, like one guy gets like a lot of power. Right? Well, a third of the people are cold and can't escape. And I just know I would be that person, I am getting dumber as I get older. I know that about myself. You guys ever look at like old homework you used to do and you're like, who was this? Like I knew fractions. What? Like now when a book I never read becomes a movie, I'm like, yeah, that's right. You come to me, bitch. Like that's my whole attitude. It's not good, but it is good because I think it's making me more attractive. Because like when you're dating men, you got to stay dumb where it counts a little bit. You can't show what you know. That's why I'm so glad I started believing in astrology. Yeah, and not just because it's real, but I think it softens me to the male species, 'Cause like before astrology, my tone was way too harsh. I'd be seeing a guy and I'd be like, that's not how you mount a shelf. And he'd be like, oh, that's not how you get a boyfriend. And I'd be like, all right, fair enough, But now I'm like, if I'm seeing a guy, I'll be like, hey, that's not how you mount a shelf. Sorry. I'm like really particular about how I do things in my home because I'm a Virgo rising. So I have to have everything just so. I'm like meticulous. Then he's like, oh, she's retarded. Okay, I should take her out for ice cream or something, So it worked. I think it's hard for everyone right now, though, male and female relationships, right? Because I had a guy friend tell me the other day that he doesn't want to approach women in person anymore because he's afraid of coming off as a creep. And when he said that to me, I was like, can you please not smell my hair while you explain it? But I didn't believe him, I was like, why would anyone do that? Like, why would someone accuse you of being weird if that's not what's in your heart? I just didn't think it was a real energy that existed in the world, until later that night I was walking home alone and there was a pigeon walking like 5 feet in front of me. And yeah, I don't know if you've ever walked behind a pigeon for like an extended period of time, but they do make you feel weird about it. Like, I wasn't even looking at this particular pigeon. All of a sudden, he started accelerating kind of out of nowhere. When they do that thing, but like not crossing the street just yet, but like giving me these like darting glances, like I'm gonna do something to him, And I was like, I don't even look at you that way, but now I am staring. I'm staring at his giant badonkadonk. Like, I don't want to be in this position, but he's making me feel strange, So I was like, okay, just relax, no one thinks you're following this pigeon in like a creepy way, And then he turned a corner and I'm like, well, I was also gonna turn this same corner. Like, I'm not gonna detour for a bird, right? Until finally, by the end of it, I became a full-on incel and I had to be like, okay, first of all, you're not even the best looking pigeon on this block, right? Like, there's a brown one right there. There's a white one right here. Like, you're crazy if you think I'm going to get to your basic gray ass first. Get over yourself, So that was one of my suitors. You guys have been a lot of fun. My name's Denise Taylor. Enjoy the rest of the show.